Hello, lifestyle dentists. For this episode, we're going to be covering why owning your dental building is a really good idea. And if you don't own your dental building or you're looking at buying another one, another location or second location, this may be one of the best times in your life to do so. So we're going to cover all that. First, start off on why buy real estate, period. And this applies for any real estate, but especially dental buildings and dental space. I should say any real estate that you can rent out, that's cash flowing. And that's a big factor, and that's the number one thing that I talk about is cash flow, because unlike a piece of real estate like just a piece of land, and you could potentially rent it out as farmland, but otherwise it may just be sitting, so that wouldn't consider cash flow real estate. But cash flow real estate is anything that you can rent out on a regular basis. So dental buildings would definitely qualify for that. And that is probably the number one benefit that I like with owning my own real estate is cash flow. That unlike my Roth IRA that's in the S&P 500 index, that S&P 500 index value may go up or down and sideways, whatever it does, but I don't get any money from it. And hopefully it's going to be there when I turn 65 or whenever I decide to pull it out. But it's just a number in a computer right now. Whereas with my real estate, I get checks in bank accounts in my bank account every single month. I get direct deposits every single month into my own account. And I can use that money for whatever I want. I can use that money to buy more investments, buy more real estate. I can use it to go on vacation. I can use it to invest in my business. I can use it for whatever I need. And that's a big difference between most other investments, is that monthly cash flow, that you're not only having an asset that goes up in value, but you're also receiving cash flow. And that's a huge benefit with real estate. Another big benefit is tax benefits. This is another, I put that number two because that is probably the next biggest benefit. Most dentists, one of their biggest liabilities and biggest expenses is taxes. And as professionals, be that dentists, doctors, attorneys, CPAs, we're all kind of penalized. We were the smart ones in school in some ways, but we're also penalized because of that, where there's not a lot of great tax advantages as a service provider. Unlike if you had a brick and mortar manufacturing business or something else like that, service providers do not have those same tax benefits. But with real estate, you can still leverage a lot of tax benefits as a dentist. And so that's one of the biggest benefits. Some of the ways to reduce your taxes legally by owning real estate is depreciation. There's both depreciation over time of the building and also accelerated depreciation. The background of that just means that according to the IRS, after so many years, your building becomes worthless. And it does go down. There's things you have to repair, the roof, the walls, there's going to be repairs needed. But we all know that in general, real estate goes up in value. I can't think of any property in a normal, safe area in the country that is not worth more now than it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. In general, real estate gradually goes up over time. You can have dips, you can have drops like you did in 2008, different in the 80s, there was drops, but in general, over a 10-year span, almost all locations in the US go up in value. So that's, even though you're depreciating it, you're getting a tax benefit, but it also, in general, it tends to go up. With that depreciation, you can also do what's called a cost segregation study. Right now, at least in 2024, you could get a cost segregation if you purchase a building and reduce up to 60% of that basis in your very first year. You get accelerated depreciation the very first year. It was 100%, that went down to 80%. 2024, 60%. That's gradually going down. There's talks, no matter who wins, that may come back, but at least as of now, it's starting to phase out. But I think most likely it will come back because both Democrats and Republicans know that's a huge stability for the country is owning real estate. And so they want there to be benefits to owning that. But right now, that's definitely a benefit, that you could buy a property this year and then do a cost segregation on that property right away. Tax deferment, you can either defer your taxes or even eliminate your taxes legally with real estate. Some different ways on that is if you never sell, then you, at least as of now, if Kamala Harris gets her way, there may be some unrealized taxes on unrealized gains. We'll see if that goes anywhere or not if she wins. But there's talk of that. But as of now, you get taxed when you sell. So if you don't sell and you can theoretically own it till you die, then you would not be paying taxes on any gains. As well as you could do what's called a 1031 exchange, and that's where if you sell a building and then buy another like kind of building, meaning another piece of real estate that's usually about the same in value or more, it has to be a slightly more, I believe. You that gain just goes rolling in the next property, and so you don't pay, that's not a taxable event with the 1031 exchange. So lots of benefits in that way, tax wise. And again, I'm not a CPA. Full disclosure, I'm not a tax attorney. So consult with your tax attorney, your CPA on any of these things, and do all your homework before any kind of investments. But these are just some general things that I found that have worked for myself, working with some really good CPAs and tax attorneys. Another big value is appreciation, as we talked about already. Over 10-year span, 20-year span, real estate tends to go up in value. And so even though on paper it's going down in value, almost always goes up in value over a long period of time. So that's another big benefit. You can refinance your building. That's another way that you could pull money out of your building without any kind of a taxable event, meaning say you bought your property 10 years ago for $500,000, now it's worth $1 million. Well, you could refinance from your building, especially say if interest rates go down and you're paying 7%, now they go down to 5% or 4%, you could refinance that building and also pull some cash out of the equity of that building. And it's not a taxable event because it's essentially a loan, even though you could take that money and go to Disneyland if you wanted, or you could buy more real estate, you could do all kinds of things, but it's not a taxable event, even though you're getting that money in your hand to do with whatever you want with it. So that's another benefit of real estate. And you can also sell. You obviously can buy it. That same scenario, it's you bought it for 500,000, you sell it for $1 million. You decide to just take the hit and pay the taxes. Well, you still would have a gain, a capital gain. You have to pay taxes, but you would have increased value that you can pull out. I'd say that's the least beneficial way to use your real estate. I try to not sell. I've sold real estate, and now my goal is to never sell if possible, or if I do sell, do it in a tax efficient manner, like a 1031 exchange. Another big benefit of owning your real estate is control. It's just a matter of controlling the space that your practice, your business is in. You don't have to worry about getting kicked out. You don't have to worry about, oh, I want to remodel my office and add another operatory, but the landlord won't allow me. No, I am the landlord. I own the building. I can do with it as I wish. Obviously working with the city, but in general, you just have control to change factors. You can adjust your rent up, down, sideways, whatever you need. In general, I like to have my rents continually going up because I'm paying myself. And where I live, it's actually beneficial for my tax wise that's the case. And so it feels good when I can give myself a raise in my rents and I celebrate it. I smile. So that's a good thing. And just overall control period that you own the space. You're not going to be losing your lease after 5-10 years, whatever it is. You control that as indefinitely as long as you own the real estate. Worst case scenario, it's like a forced savings plan because you have to pay somebody to have a building. So you're either renting it or you're owning it, but either way, that money's going. So it's not like, well, I'm going to rent and then not pay the money, because either way you're paying the money. It's just who you're paying it to. Are you paying it to yourself or somebody else? And so it's like a forced savings plan that you're paying yourself that money. So another big factor of owning your real estate is you are a good liability. You yourself as the dentist are a good liability because dental offices have one of the lowest default rates of going out of business. So if you run it right and do a good job taking care of your patients, it's very unlikely your dental practice is going to go out of business. And so you have a very good tenant in your dental building that's paying the rent. And so you're a safe liability. And so that's another benefit. Some factors of why now may be a good time more than ever. We're in some strange times in 2024, at least when this is being recorded. We're coming up on an election year in the US. I think no matter who wins, whether it's Harris, Biden, Trump, whoever it's going to be. It's been a crazy year so far, and I wouldn't be surprised there's some more twists and turns before the election goes. But whoever wins, probably about half the country is not going to be happy, and the other half of the country will be happy. And I think there's likelihoods there could be some unsettling issues in the U.S. For at least the near foreseeable future, no matter who wins. And so that's causing some concerns in the economy and in the world. And there's elections not only in the U.S. but about 49% of all countries, nation or worldwide, have elections this year. So there's a lot of uncertainty in a lot of other countries too, and that can make for interesting dynamics global with the global economy. There's issues in Iran and Iraq and Ukraine and China, Taiwan. There's all kinds of economic factors that are because of geopolitical issues, potential wars, either regional or even a global war. So there's a lot of factors there that are causing some real uncertainty in the markets. Also, there's a lot of commercial loans coming due, primarily in the office space and in multifamily is coming due starting now and for the next 18 to 24 months coming due, where example is somebody is building a 100-unit apartment complex. Well, they did a what's called a bridge loan, where it was a short-term loan that they got when they were doing the building of it, and they made that bridge loan may have been at 3%, and they're planning on refinancing at a similar lower rate. Well, now if the rate's 7%, 8%, it doesn't pencil out. And so somebody's going to be losing because they can't refinance that and have it pencil out where it's going to cash flow. And so there's going to be real estate coming on the market because of that. There's also a lot of office buildings, areas like Denver, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland. There's a lot of office space in the downtown areas that's either vacant now or likely will be vacant in the next 6 to 12 months and probably won't be refilled. And there's banks that own that real estate, and if it's vacant, it doesn't pencil out, and so the banks are going to take the hit. And so they potentially we could have regional banks having issues or even defaults. So because of all that, there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets right now. And as in anything, uncertain times can create a lot of havoc, a lot of heartburn and distress, but it also can create opportunities. And so when you may have approached your current owner of the building that you may be in right now, and the owner said, no, they're not interested in selling, they may be interested now, even though they weren't a year ago or 5 years ago or whenever maybe you asked them, because of all the uncertainty in the markets. And they may be concerned and more likely to sell. So because of all those things, now could be a great time to buy your dental building. If you already own your space, awesome. If you're looking at potentially a second location, or maybe you own your building, but you're not real happy with the area and you may want to get a better location, that could be another option of upgrading, keeping your existing building, lease it to somebody else, and then upgrade to another location. Or maybe you're just renting right now from a tenant, a landlord, and you want to broach owning that. And so that now would be a good time to approach them. And if you can own it, there's a lot of benefits. So I hope this helps. Any questions, any way we could help, please let us know. But yeah, bottom line, see if you can own your dental building in 2024 or 2025. Thanks.